Okay, and welcome to Retech, and today we're going to have a little bit of fun because we can't always be serious, and it's nice to support industries that make, design, update, upgrade, write and also provide for these classics machines. And today it's Cytronic Software, and it's a game that we're actually going to look at. It's called The Shadow over Hawksmill. And it's a game which I've got on floppy disk, and it's the Premium Plus edition, which is quite nice. And it comes in their usual well presented cases and so on, and it's a nice thing to have. It's a nice thing to have 5¼ media anyway, anytime really, to be honest. The game itself has had a few people done reviews on it, or there's been a few comments left about the game and so on different sites, and it's generally got a very good review. And that's good, because quality software for these machines is very, very welcome, especially in the day and age of the Xboxes and PlayStations and so on. Now, I'm not a huge game player. I mean, I do like the games on computers and Xboxes and consoles and so on, but these kind of games were specifically aimed at a certain market originally, and that was the kind of maybe 9 years old all the way up through to the sort of 18-19-year-old, and it's basically where I'm kind of pitching this one today. So Marcus has kindly said he'd review the game and basically give you his thoughts on the game itself. And so with that, we're going to leave it up to Marcus, and we're going to let him put his point of view across at the end of this short video. But also, when's the last time you played a game or listened to something on a computer that made you do this?
So today we're going to be playing The Shadow over Hawksmill, the new game for a Commodore 64 or a Commodore 128. But first, the music.
London, 1947. Inspector Black has been called up to the small village of Hawksmill. Disappearances of villagers have local police baffled. As a specialist in missing persons, your experience will be most welcome to help solve the case. Upon arrival, however, the village is quiet, empty. Not a single person, adult or child, can be seen. What strange circumstances have happened here? Grabbing your trusty revolver, you make your way across the cobbled lane into the Shadow over Hawksmill. So let's play The Shadow over Hawksmill. This is Shadow over Hawksmill on floppy disk, and it's now loading, and we're just waiting for the game to load. It's for the 64 or the 128. And obviously it needs to be in 64 mode if you're playing this game. So if you've got a 128, just go into Go 64 and load it as normal. Okay, so this is the Shadow over Hawksmill for the Commodore 64 and 128. And the first thing you have to do is to press fire to select the Shadow over Hawksmill. So if you're not in Commodore 64 mode, you have to type Go 64 if you're not already there, and then load it as normal. This program works on, or this game works on, both machines, and it's on floppy disk, 5¼ floppy disk, and it's nice to be able to run new games on old media. You get more of a feel of what the games were all about.
That music was haunted. That's like really haunted. That sounds like a horror movie. This loading is very long. It's like on one of those games where we actually had to wait for nearly half an hour. Oh, here we go. Here we go. They're just like Monty on the Run. Remember that game? It's a little like that, that it looks like on the back. It looks like Money on the Run, really. Just like a haunted version of Money on the Run. And the graphics are coloured, actually. Okay, let's see what you can do.
What are your first impressions of the game?
It's quick. It's quick. It's like really quick. The sounds, like the thunder, it sounds like a little like real.
Okay, so we've changed the machine to a Commodore 64 from a 1 to 8 because the sound for some whatever reason didn't seem quite as good on the 1 to 8, and also we're not sure if it was wholly compatible, and you can tell straight away that the sounds
are different.
Very different.
Wait, what was it again? Found apple. How do we eat apple? I don't have any bullets. Help me. Oh no, help me. Lord help me, Lord help me. Lord help me. There's a bat. It scared me. Help me, help me, help me. Aw, got killed. It's loud. Found glue key. I'm going to see if I can find a different color. Okay, and then wait. What was it again? Help me, help me, help me. Well, there's a dog and a bat chasing me. Thing. This game's like really fun, really good, and the graphics, they're amazing. Kids that have got Commodore 64s, you should get this. It's really fun, and it's like the graphics are fast. Help. Oh. Never knew bats have tusks. Never knew bats have tusks. The game is like really hard, but the graphics are really good, and the game is really fun to play. And you can like climb walls, duck, eat apples, and it's actually funny when it's. And then after you eat the apple, it's really funny because it says, that's good. We're on the Commodore 64 now is because the 1 to 8 sounded very strange and different. Not like this is better. It sounds better, not the Commodore 1 to 8. So we're back on the 1 to 8 and we're going to see what it properly sounds like to see if it's any difference. It's not as loud. It's really not as loud.
And you don't hear the rain so much, do you?
No.
Okay, so there's a clear difference between the Commodore 64C and the Commodore 128. The sound is very different, even though they've apparently got the same SID chip. But the 128 is missing off a lot of the rainfall noise. But it doesn't really make any difference to the gameplay, and as you can see here, Marcus is having a good old go trying to find the keys, and the whole idea of this game is to search everything.
I'm just gonna search everything before I even go in there. The graphics are really good, like really. They're quick like the other one. There's no difference about that. There's like no difference to anything except for the noise. That's it really. The only thing that's different is the noise. Oh, there are people. Apple! And here comes the funny bit. Tastes good. Everything's the same except for the one thing. Really, really cool. So we're gonna try, because we've noticed the difference in the sound. We're gonna, in the same chip, we're gonna be using the 64 bread bin, the original, and see if it's different. So now we're using the Commodore 64 bread bin, and we're gonna see what it sounds, if it sounds the same or different. So let's go. It sounds a little. It's starting to. It's sounding like that. Whoa! I forgot to do it. Oh no. Anything in here? In there. Which one? Imagine they just keep on moving it. Imagine in this one the keys have been moved. And we have to do this to like every single one and we can't find it. Got it. What else can I find? How can this go? Whoa. Look. I've given you it. Look. You're gonna see people. Bro, why is it so hard? Do we collect anything in this? Found apple. And I'm gonna press F7. Tastes good. That reminds me of this person that made this story, and in one of the bits he said, chocolate cake.
So does this sound different to the Commodore 128?
Yes. It does. A lot. It does. But it sounds the same to the Commodore 64 right here. Like, it sounds nearly exactly the same. Actually, yes, exactly the same. Because you can actually hear the rain. Yeah. The graphics are exactly the same. So all the graphics are the same on each one. Yeah, so each one, they're the same graphics. Just the only thing, that one, the Commodore 128, that doesn't, 128, yeah, doesn't, you can't actually hear the rain as much as these two, the Commodore 64 bread bin and the Commodore 64.
Now, what do you think of the game?
Really, really good. Just like that he said, that one, you should get it at home. If you have a Commodore 64, Commodore Commodore 64C, Commodore 64 Red Bin, or just any Commodore 64 really. You can get this and you can play.
Would you buy it?
Yes, I would buy it. It's really fun. Literally really fun.
So that was Marcus's take on this game, The Shadow over Hawksmill, and from what I could see, and I've had a little go on it, I actually quite liked it. It was a little kind of difficult to get into the mindset for this game after being on sort of modern machines, but you know, when you kind of put yourself back into the seat of being a kid in the 80s and playing on these machines which were new at the time, it soon kind of clicked into place, and it was a very, very enjoyable game. Now, it was actually Marcus that kind of spotted the sound, because when we put it on the 128, I kind of thought that it was a little bit off. Not off in a way that would detract from the game, but the sound didn't quite kind of fit, if you know what I mean. So Marcus thought it was muffled, and so that's why we swapped the machines about. And it seems to be that the actual software, like most software of the time, was written for the basic platform of the Commodore 64, which is brilliant because it does work on all of the Commodore 64 ranges, and it also works on the Commodore 128. Now, maybe it is my 128, that's probably different to another batch of 128s and so on, but you know, there was a slight difference in sound. And the good thing is that if you had the original SID chip or the later SID chip in the 64C, you would actually not find a lot of difference between the two, if anything at all. So it was nicely written, and it was obviously written with a 64 in mind. But that being said, if I had a 128, I'd actually love this game. I'd like to be able to play it on a Commodore 128, but I would also probably think, could they have done an extended version for the extra memory on the Commodore 128 and so on. You know, it's debatable, but I'm not so sure if it would have added anything to the game, because the game was absolutely spot on as it was. It had fantastic atmosphere, and as Marcus said, the music was very haunting, which fitted really well within the game, and the game was generally well thought out. These are the type of games that, if they were launched at the kind of the end of the lifespan of the Commodore 64, they would have given most 16-bit games a big run for their money. And you know, it may have done the Commodore 64 a lot of good, but in the end it was a massively successful machine, and it was only killed off because Commodore went under. So it probably would still be selling at some point or in some form or other for a long time after Commodore went under, if they didn't actually disappear at the time. But if you are going to think about buying a game for a Commodore 64, then pop over to Cytronic and have a look at their new releases and have a look at the type of games they do, etc. And you may find that there's something for you. And as I say, most of the products I've tried from them, mainly to kind of entertain the kids and also for curiosity, have been absolutely brilliant. They've been so good that you wouldn't really think that they're not mainstream titles, as in the Commodore 64 isn't a mainstream machine today. So I hope you enjoyed this. So thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us on the next episode, and I hope you'll subscribe, because there is a lot more to come. So thank you.